And we are live and we are back. Let's go. I'm Cory, your host, one half of the Quarter and Full of Fat podcast. And I'm back like I never left with another installment of Wealth Wednesdays here on the Quarter and Full of Fat podcast. We discuss health and wealth, finance and fitness, and everything in between. And we want to make sure you save more and say less and keep making better your best. Yes, yes. However, my co-host Jordan, who is no longer on paternity leave. When he started paternity leave, I started these Wealth Wednesdays where we get straight to the finance information, no filler in between. And I know y'all see the topic of the day. I haven't looked at this article yet. I know the topic of the video says probably going to say scrimping or scrumping, whatever it is. I don't know what that word means technically, but I'm going to find out today, and we're going to look at an article where it says Gen Z and millennials, they're scrimping while baby boomers are living it up. CNN article today, not CNNBC, but CNN. But before we get started, make sure y'all hit that like button as you walk through the door. Make sure you leave those rating reviews as well on the podcast platforms. And also, for those of y'all that are watching this, please leave a comment. I know y'all are watching right now, so please leave a comment and let us know, not that you're watching, but, what you think about the topic of the video, what we're discussing, any topics you want us to discuss. The feedback is critical for Jordan and I. And we also want to gear what we're talking about to our listeners, because this particular article today is a listener requested article. All right, y'all. Now, let me see. Oh, here we go. Student loans. I was studying for certification this weekend, so this is why I didn't do the student loan video. But I think I'm going to have time to do it this weekend because we got Father's Day and Juneteenth is Monday, so I'll have time. I'll be off Monday, so I should have time to do that video, because that video is not going to be a Wealth Wednesday type of video, because it's going to be the article I'm going through. Not article, it's an actual like research white paper type of thing. It's like 37 pages, so might be a pretty long video. But the student loan situation, I think one of my friends sent me today. There was a settlement for like $6 billion, but they sued some colleges that did some fraudulent stuff. That kind of, it is what it is. But $6 billion isn't that much money. The whole student loan situation is like, I think it was 400 billion, something like that. So $6 billion is like a little drop in the hat. And also the forgiveness is not the colleges forking up or, paying the money back. They're just kind of wiping it off the books, quote unquote, and the taxpayers are paying that. But before we get started, remember, don't sue me, sue your mama for entertainment purposes only. Jordan, know myself, or fitness or financial professionals. Any information you hear on here is just for entertainment, and you need to do your own research. All right, y'all, let's get started. Let me see. Wait, that's one thing. Let me share my screen. Y'all know I struggle to share my screen. And no, I have not gotten a new mouse. For those that watch, I have not gotten a new mouse. I'm not going to get a new mouse whenever I decide to actually go on Amazon and buy one. Like, this one works. Just the cursor is janky. All right, here we go. Let me see. I think I've shared this before. All right, see, sweet. Y'all can see it. All right, Gen Z and millennials are scrimping. So before we get started, I got to see what the definition of scrimping is. Scrimp. Be thrifty or parsimonious, economize, skimp. Okay, so I thought it meant skimp. Let's see what this word is crazy. Sorry for the podcast listeners. Parsimonious. Let me see what this says.
Parsimonious.
How do you spell it? I feel like I'm at the spelling bee. Unwilling to spend money or use resources. Okay, stingy or frugal. We're not cheap. What did y'all say? Not cheap or frugal? We're well conscious. Okay, here we go. All right, so they're saying Gen Z and millennials are cheap or frugal, but baby boomers, they're living it up. All right, and this is by Matt Egan. Shout out to a normal name. I probably like 5% in on normal names, but Matt Egan of CNN Business. This was updated 1 o'clock yesterday. Here we go. Okay. All right, here we go. New York CNN Business. Baby boomers are living it up, splurging on cruises and restaurants. Younger Americans are struggling just to keep. Baby boomers, they have more money than Gen Z and millennials, so they should have more money, and their net worth should be higher. So it makes sense that they're going to be struggling. I don't know exactly what this article thinks is about to discuss, but let's see what type of data they got. Bank of America internal data shows a significant gap in spending has opened recently between older and younger generations. Compared to what? While baby boomers and even traditionalists, 1928 to 1945, I thought that was a silent generation. I don't know, are ramping up in spending. Shout out to people born in 1928 that are ramping up their spending. They're almost 100 years old. Gen X, Gen Z, and Millennials are cutting back as they grapple with high housing costs and looming student debt payments. It's fairly unusual. David Tinsley, right, senior economist, Bank of America Institute, told CNN, or so what is he saying? That okay, household spending dipped 0.2% year over year in May, according to the bank's card data, but the generational breakdown showed a more varied picture. Okay, spending increased by 5.3 for traditionalists, 2.2 for baby boomers. Traditionalists, let me see this. 1928 to 1945. How old are you born in 1945? Almost 80? Gotta be almost 80. Yep, 78. That's pretty big. I want to know how many people are alive from 1928 to have this increase. Regardless, though, it contrasts. Okay, so spending increased for traditionalists and baby boomers, but it fell for everybody else: Gen X, Millennials, and Gen Z, 1.5%. And not for the aggressive spending by boomers, Tinsley said overall consumer spending would have been even more negative. So baby boomers are carrying the spending. Social Security payments. All right, what's going on? Social Security payments get a big boost. So as the older generation spending the Social Security that the younger generations are going to have. Yeah, so that's an ad. I was like, what? Look at all these ads I'm seeing. My goodness. My bad, y'all. All right, older Americans are ramping up spending as they benefit from a spike in Social Security. I thought the Social Security was running out. Why is there a spike in Social Security? All right, starting January this year, Social Security recipients received, you got 8.7 cost of living adjustment. All right, the biggest since 1981. That increase caused directly by high inflation is boosting the average retiree's monthly payments by an estimated $146. They got an extra $150 a month, which is $1,800 a year. I guess. Is there a lot of baby boomers and traditionalists in that retiree range? Bank of America spending data shows a noticeable bump in spending by households that receive that cost of living boost. Okay, makes sense, but I guess if you got an 8.7% increase in your cost of living, COLA adjustment, and their spending increased 5.5% or whatever it said, something like that, then I guess they saved some money. 5.3, 2.2. Bank of America, however, the bank noticed the spending surge by older Americans is happening among high-income households too, okay? So people with more money, the people with the higher income are spending more of their money. What are the chances? And those consumers are less likely to be impacted by the spike in Social Security. Right? Yeah, they're less likely to probably get that. That can't be the whole story, Tinsley said, of the cost of living adjustments. To explain the drop in spending by younger Americans, Bank of America, the one of the housing costs, yes and no. The housing costs are going up, but I wouldn't say the housing costs are what's causing people to decrease their spending. They like buying too much house in the first place. In recent years, rental rates spiked, home prices soared, and mortgage rates surged. Younger Americans are also much more likely to move than older ones. True, moved twice in the last 5 months. The people who do move are really facing quite cost increases. Bank of America noted that older consumers are spending on travel, hotels, airfare, cruises. Right now the COVID is over. True. Due to COVID fears, older generations held back. True. Again, spending was suppressed during the pandemic for travel, vacation type of things. Now that it's over, obviously people, if they quote unquote save that money, not quote unquote, but all that money was pent up, quote unquote. They had all that money saved. Now it's just hitting the economy all at one time. So instead of spending let's say $1,000 every year, they just didn't spend it for 3 years. Let's say, and now they're just dropping technically $4,000 this year, right? 2020, 2021, 2022, they didn't go on vacation at all. They got all their vacation money saved, and now their vacation budget for this year is getting combined for the last 3 years they didn't spend. Makes sense. I would say, though, for this, where it says high housing costs, your savings rate is what it is. Like even though inflation was high last year, and it's low, I believe it's lower this year, but it's still high. most of your costs should be fixed. Like outside of your credit card, most people's rates, as far as the interest rates, are fixed rates, and most people have installment loans, not revolving debt. So it's not like their debt payments increase. And also, too, most people haven't had the student loan payments at least kick back on. And then you buy, you make that one-time house purchase. So even when you have things like, grocery bill has gone up, your utilities may or may have gone up, and what is it? Maybe even your insurance has gone up, things like that. It shouldn't be to the point where you're seeing such a decrease in spending by the younger generation. It might be this other debt that they have has gotten out of control, which we're going to go. That's why I need to do the student loan article, because you're going to see some information there where we see what happens with people who don't manage their money properly and what they do when they get a surge or an increase in money due to a decrease in payments, like what happened during the pandemic. So that might actually be the reason. Maybe they have more debt, and that's why their spending is actually decreased. All right, the dreader. I swear to y'all. Oh my goodness. So I love doing stuff live. I swear to y'all. I know it's been here on the screen. I know the playback on the show's on the screen. I did not read this. I don't read articles at a time, even though I was down here. I did not see the dreaded return of student debt. I swear to y'all, I did not see this. Oh my goodness. Insanity. Student loans beyond the high cost of living. Bank of America said many young Americans are also likely bracing for the return of significant monthly expense, student debt. I shouldn't be laughing because most of my close friends have student loan debt, but it's just like, this is the monster. This is the thing that is crushing my generation, even every generation really, but my generation in particular, and then Gen Z, and soon to be, hopefully not, but Gen Alpha on the way. Student loans. The bipartisan debt ceiling deal included a provision that specifically, prevented the Biden administration from extending the pause. Okay, cool. So that pause is not happening. Student debt freeze in effect March 2020. So it's been over 3 years, over 36 payments I got credit for if we count March. All right, then we got April, May, and June. So it's been 39 payments. Word is that y'all get credit for all 39 of those payments for those who are going to apply for the student. The PS or the LF, I can't remember the exact articles. On acronyms. I don't keep up with it like that. I'm not the person. You all can go follow debt free you're going to be for that type of stuff, for the forgiveness. But regardless, 39 payments out of the 120. That's over 25%. And if you've already been making payments throughout that, before that, that's a lot of payments people have gotten credit for without having to make any actual payments. Yep, it's going to conclude by the end of August. This is particularly, remember I said to you, but the information hasn't came out yet. Today is June 13th. Y'all don't hear this, technically June 14th. The hearing, or however you want to look at it, is going to happen in the next 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks, 16 days or so. If that hearing doesn't conclude, they said it was going to happen by then, but if they don't make a ruling this month, then we get to June 30th / July 1st, however you want to look at it, then the student loans are scheduled to start back up, or allowed to start back up. Not scheduled. I should stop saying scheduled, even if I haven't started. But they can start back up 60 days after June 30th, or when they conclude the hearing. So no later than August 30th, or no earlier. No later than August 30th can student loans start back up. Now, will your loan service provider, whether it's Mohila, whoever it is, start up your student loans on August 30th? Highly unlikely, as the rumor that sent last episode, sometime in October is when they actually are projected to start back up. However, the interest is supposed to start as soon as the hearing ends / July 1st, technically. So there's two different things. Your payments, when they start back up, they're going to have to contact you. That's based on your loan service provider. It's going to be different for everybody when their payment starts back up. Let's be very clear. But the interest is supposed to start as soon as the hearing ends, or July 1st. So those two different dates, things y'all need to be aware of. But if you've been listening to me, I've been telling y'all for, I feel like, years now, just because they keep saying that the student loan is going to start back up, but they kept doing these pause extensions. But you should have been making your payments already. But if you didn't make your student loan payment this month, make it next month. If you don't make it next month, that's on you. It doesn't make any sense now not to be making your student loan payments. All right, that's particularly painful for younger consumers. It's painful for everybody. Americans are sitting right 1%. Yes, Okay, 1.6 trillion student loan debt, right? According to the New York Federal Reserve, and the vast majority of that student debt is held by those under the age of 49. So mostly Gen X, mostly all of Gen Y, millennials. For millions of Gen Z and millennials, the return of student debt payments will mean less money for spending on restaurants and vacations. See, if I had the energy, because I already worked today, so it's the evening. If I had the energy, I would just go over to the student loan article right now and just do it. So I'm gonna definitely have to do it in this episode. No, see, this is why we do these articles. This is CNN, right? I mean CNN business, but this is CNN.com right here. Okay, I mean, this is one of the top dog, if not the top dog, as far as who you view from a popularity standpoint. This is freaking CNN, and they're saying now that millennials and Gen Z are going to have student loan debt payments start back up, they won't be able to spend money on restaurants and vacations. No, you shouldn't have been spending money on restaurants and vacations in the first place. You should have been paying down your debt, or at least putting the money to the side. Over 10. Well, actually, no. If you had less than 10,000, if you had $10,000 or less, then you could have put money to the side to see if this forgiveness is going to happen, and then 20K if you got a Pell Grant. But if you had more than 10K or 20K, basically you get a Pell Grant or not, you should have been making payments toward your student loans. As I've been telling my clients to do. Even if you got the forgiveness, you're still going to have student loan debt payments. So you might as well make the payment, continue to make these payments now, and put extra towards it. So when your student loans do turn back on, because they are going to turn back on, you're not going to have any interest. Or not any interest. You're going to be charged less interest because you've been paying down the balance. But no, CNN is telling y'all to trying to feel sorry for y'all. Now you can't spend money on restaurants and vacations. I thought inflation was high and people had less money. And that's why I said, is it really the housing market? And this is where it gets confusing. They're going to have less money to spend on restaurants and vacations, right? But then they're saying that the housing market is the issue. Right, saying now housing costs is the issue. It's not the housing costs that drop the spending. It's people spending money on the vacations and stuff. They want me in an article. Let me see. All right, here we go. Some consumers may be starting to pull back on spending ahead of that change. Tinsley said it's coming down the tracks pretty fast now. So this is going to be a pretty quick article. All right, y'all. Is that it? Yep. All right, y'all. That's it. Again, Gen Z and millennials are scrimping, right? They're being frugal, they're being cheap, not spending a lot of money, but the boomers are living it up. Yes, the older generation has more money. Anybody could have told you all that, and it's likely they're going to have more spending power. This is letting us know, though, that due to the COLA increase, 8.7 increase due to inflation last year, some of that increase is due to the fact that there was a bump in Social Security due to the COLA adjustment. And now the millennials and Gen Z dealing with higher inflationary times, they have an issue as far as the housing market with those increases from an interest rate standpoint. And then on top of that, they're preparing for student loan payments to start back up, which, I mean, if you haven't been preparing for student loan, I mean, the student loan payments have been supposed to start back up for like when Trump was in office. I mean, we both were due president next year. You know what I mean? Like President Biden's already over 2 years in his term. Like, so, it's insanity to think that, people are now just preparing for it. But if this is what CNN, or somebody like CNN, right? Everybody's trying to be like CNN. But this is what CNN is saying, like, oh no, millennials are worried about not being able to spend money on, vacations or restaurants due to student loan payments, then you already see the type of mindset that the news is putting on you. This is why people are struggling financially. I mean, no, this statement was that. I love this headline, the dreaded return of student debt payments. But this right here, this is it. This is the sentence. For millions of Gen Z and millennials, a return of student debt payments will mean less money for spending on restaurants and vacations. What's wrong with that? Necessities, debt payments, investments, lifestyle. What's wrong with them decreasing their lifestyle spending because their debt payments increase? I mean, my goodness. This is why people have so much credit card debt and are struggling financially, keeping up with the Joneses, social media, things like that, because of this literal sentence right here. Doesn't say that there's an editor on here, but by Matt Egan, CNN Business. All right, y'all. That's it. Locked and loaded. End of the episode. Remember to hit the like button, share and subscribe. Shout out to the YouTube algorithm. Leave those rating reviews on the podcast platforms as well. My information, as well as my co-host information, Jordan. Our contact information is in the show notes on YouTube. You can find me at Sideline Cory, and Jordan at Stop Stall and J. Then his website for his online training is FinallyFit.live. Remember, Jordan did a complete rebrand of the website. I don't know if he did a rebrand. He updated. He made some changes. Let me not speak. I'm not a FinallyFit spokesperson. But he did make changes to the website. He got customer reviews on there, things like that. So please go over there and check it out and sign up for the classes, because I remember the quote I said, health is wealth, right? But you got to get your wealth right. I can't remember exactly what the quote was, but get your health in order. All right. Again, student loans. I wish I had more energy. I would just make a new stream right now. Student loans, y'all. They're starting back up this year. I don't know what else to say. Please, if you're listening to this, leave a comment. But if you have student loans and you're listening to this, just start making your payments now. Even if you can find $1 in your budget to put extra towards it, just start, and then just work that minimum payment back into your budget for July. If you don't know what your previous minimum payment was, that means you weren't on a budget during 2020. However, if you don't know what your minimum payment was, you should be able to go back and see your statements for probably February of 2020 is when you were last required to make your student loan payment. Some of you might have made the payment in March, because the payment pause was I think around the middle of March. So if you had payment due on the 1st or something like that, you might have made a March payment. But go back and look at at least your February or even January, some type of 2020, 2019 minimum payment is probably all the same. And add that back into your budget if you haven't done that already, and now you're about to go through a shock financially. There's not too much to do at this point, because the time is up. It's been 39 months, over 3 years. It's been 3.25 years, and the student loan situation is when it starts back up, it's going to be crazy out here. I feel bad for people. At least the people that I know that tap in and work with me, they're at least prepared, because I've been telling them when I started. As y'all can imagine, what I've been telling people I actually know personally. But for those of you who know people and they've been out here, YOLOing it, living it up, it's going to be very interesting to see. But you can see from a legal standpoint what the conservatives, Republicans are doing as far as the student loan forgiveness, and not all the Democrats are in favor of the forgiveness. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And on top of that, you got the Supreme Court ruling. So even if the Supreme Court, rules against it, the Biden administration can, they can make up a new type of forgiveness. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But again, the pause extension, that's over with. So they're going to start it back up sometime in August now, because we're in June. Sometime in August now, right? Or probably sometime in September. Let me see what the dates look like when August 30th is, as we close out. Y'all know I love talking about debt and the debt I like the most type of debt. The debt I like to talk about the most is student loans. Yeah, August 30th is a Wednesday. So I wouldn't be surprised if payments start up, September 1st was a Friday, the Friday before Labor Day. That's the date y'all see. Student loan servicers, your loan servicers are required by law to notify you 6 weeks before your payment does start back up. So if your payment is going to start back up around August, between August 13th and August 30th, so 14th now, because today's open, today's definitely over. Between August 14th and August 30th, then you should be getting that notice at the beginning of July, right? A month before the 14th would be July 14th and 2 for that, right? So late end of June, early July is when you should get that. So be on the lookout for those as well. If you haven't already, go make sure you can log in, right? Access your student loans, look at your previous statements, make sure no interest has been charged. Make sure you download your most recent statements so you can verify your balance. So when the student loans do start back and they do turn this interest on, that you don't see something awry and you have no proof to prove that, no, this is actually my student loan that I have. You just want to prepare yourself. All right, that's it, y'all. Again, if you have any questions, concerns, just let Jordan or myself know. Leave those comments in the comment section if you're watching. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or any topics you want to discuss, please let us know. And the student loan episode is going to, unless something crazy happens in the next week, the student loan episode about that white paper I'm talking about, that is probably going to drop Monday, either Sunday or Monday. It depends. But that's it, y'all. Remember to save more and save less. Keep making better your best. And I'll catch y'all in the next one.